Hey guys, this is Moon here and welcome to another session of English Literature. So friends, today's session is all about CHRISTABEL by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. So in this session, I'm going to discuss the element of supernatural in CHRISTABEL, or the question also comes like Coleridge's treatment of nature in CHRISTABEL and how CHRISTABEL naturalizes the supernatural elements. Okay, so let's start the session. So Samuel Taylor Coleridge's poetry breathes the very fresh spirit of high romance, while giving the history of the composition of the lyrical ballads and his own share in it. Coleridge wrote that it was agreed that my endeavours should be directed to persons and characters, supernatural or at least romantic, yet so as to transfer from our inward nature in human interest and giving a semblance of truth, sufficient to procure for these shadows of imagination that willing suspension of disbelief for the moment which constitutes poetic faith. So Coleridge, with an artistic mastery, creates the supernatural out of the nature or natural elements in a way that is unique. His great poem Christabel bears out his power to create a supernatural enchantment with a highly romantic spirit. So as a romantic poet, here Coleridge's technique is successful in rendering the supernatural real enough to the readers. So friends, you all know that what is supernatural. Supernatural means the presence of ghosts, such events which add the feeling of terror in us, etc. Okay. So Samuel Taylor Coleridge's poem Christabel is divided into two sections, which is part 1 and part 2. And in this session, I'm going to deal with the elements of supernaturalism in Christabel part 1. Okay. So Coleridge in Christabel has procured from his readers that willing suspension of disbelief that constitutes the poetic faith. Even Mrs. Radcliffe, Horace Walpole, Monk Lewis, who are the Gothic writers, and a few others tried to produce an atmosphere of horror and mystery in their works, but they aimed at causing horror by means of supernatural machinery. In Christabel, Coleridge has avoided the terrifying machinery of supernaturalism. If you read the novels of Miss Radcliffe, Horace Walpole, Monk Lewis, then you will find the breathtaking or the chilling events and very scary events. So in the Rime of the Ancient Mariner, the supernatural frustrations are somewhat crude and gross, but in Christabel, the treatment of the supernatural is given a fresh lease of life. By a superior skill Coleridge has diffused the terror of vogue menace through the whole atmosphere, and by his magic art he has naturalized the supernatural, which is given a human touch, a semblance of the total exclusion of gruesome details, blood-curdling and spine-chilling incidents. So the supernatural is slowly distilled in the air of the poem. So friends, one thing to remember from the supernaturalism in Christabel is that here Coleridge makes use of the natural events, and he makes use of natural elements in such a way so that these elements can produce a feeling of supernatural. So in Christabel, part 1, the poet's theme is the attempt of an evil spirit, Geraldine. Okay, so friends, one important thing, you can pronounce Geraldine as Geraldine, but do not ever pronounce like Geraldine, okay? So the evil spirit of Geraldine possesses the soul of an innocent lady, Christabel. So Coleridge opens the scene of his story at midnight, the mysterious hour. So midnight is called the mysterious hour, the canonical hour for ghosts, witches, etc. It is this hour that the spirit of the dead wife of the Baron visits to the castle to guard her daughter Christabel. Here the poet describes that it is the middle of the night by the castle clock, and the owls have awakened the crowing cock, to whit, to who, and hark again the crowing cock, how drowsily it crew. So these lines are taken from Christabel part 1 and the line numbers are 1 to 5. So friends, mentioning the line number of the poem, and if you are writing some quotations from novel or drama, then mentioning the chapter number or the act or scene number is quite important. So friends, Coleridge in Christabel takes us back to the old medieval day. So the medieval days were associated with magic, romance, witchery, superstitions, etc. Medievalism lies in the core of Coleridge's poetry and constitutes his very poetic creed. The poem Christabel breathes a medieval atmosphere with the descriptions of the moat castle with a massive gate, iron within and without, with its tower clock, its court and the hall. So the main thing is that the entire setting of Christabel bears the mark of medievalism, okay? So Coleridge's poetry bears out his romantic interest in nature. Nature here too has merged into the supernatural. The night is calm and chilly. The sky is overcast with the thin grey clouds which cover it but do not hide it. The moon behind the clouds is full but not bright. She rather looks dull and small, even to displace the curl of the hair on Christabel's cheeks, to move even the only last red leaf that hangs lightly on the topmost branch of the tree, pointing towards the sky. As the poet puts in, is the night chilly and dark? The night is chilly, but not dark. The thin grey cloud is spread on high. It covers, but not hides the sky. So these descriptions make nature so refined, so vague, that the scene takes a mysterious look. In the midst of such a scene, Geraldine, a visitant from the other world, appears, making a suppressed moan. Her white neck, blue-veined unsandaled feet, her robe of silken white, the dazzling jewels in the hair make the impression that she is not of this earth. So here, Christabel is seized with a superstitious fear. Thus the supernaturalism is distilled through the whole poem. Okay, so the atmosphere of mystery and enchantment is gradually built up in Christabel. Mystery is hinted at but not described in definite terms. The poet doesn't make it clear what Christabel saw or said or felt while looking at Geraldine's naked breast. It is only suggested that, behold her bosom and half her side, a sight to dream of, not to tell. Oh, shield her, shield sweet Christabel. So it is taken from part 1, line number 246 to 248. So the world of nature, which is made supersensitive, sharply reacts to the presence of Geraldine, the visitant from the other world. While Christabel and Geraldine cross the court, the mastiff owl did not awake. So while Christabel and Geraldine cross the court after crossing the iron gate, then the massive beech which was laying didn't make any sound and didn't awake. So here the poet says that the mastiff owl didn't awake, yet she an angry moan did make, and what can ail the mastiff beech? So in the poem, there is not merely the willing suspension of disbelief in reading Christabel. It deals equally with reality, only it is a different level of reality from Wordsworth, because Wordsworth deals with nature soothingly. He doesn't deal with supernaturalism. So as Professor Otto and Aldous Huxley point out that in Coleridge's poem, the so-called supernatural events are not disconnected from the natural world. They are part of one complete system governed by a principle, which is neither subject nor object exclusively, but which is the identity of the both. So here comes the conclusion. So the supernatural includes convey a moral ideal for normal everyday life of man. Mystery surrounds everything the Coleridge describes in the poem. So here everything is dim and vague. All these things contribute to the effect of the supernatural. So here the presence of the mortal powers for evil and for good is everywhere felt. Thus Coleridge has strictly eschewed crudeness. Okay. So friends, here we ended up the discussion of supernaturalism in Christabel by Coleridge. Friends, one important thing in this thesis or in this note, I use the term willing suspension of disbelief. So what is this? So willing suspension of disbelief is one of the major characteristics of romantic poetry. It means that to believe something which is surreal for the sake of enjoyment. Okay. So that's it friends, and as usual I have to say my concluding words that thank you so much for watching, and if you like this video then you can like this video, share this video, comment on this video, and for more videos you can subscribe to my channel. And of course if you want to know about any topic of English literature then please let me know through comments so that I can make a video of it. So bye bye for now, see you in the next session very soon.